Welcome to today's exciting deep dive where we unravel the incredible story behind a seemingly ordinary coin that might just be hiding in your pocket change, the 1980 P Roosevelt 1 dime, a coin minted in Philadelphia that has stunned collectors and numismatists with its jaw-dropping value reaching as high as $30 million in rare instances due to a fascinating combination of minting mistakes, extremely rare errors, and highly unique die characteristics that make it one of the most desirable error coins in U.S. history. While its face value is a mere 10 cents, the 1980 P dime has proven that even the smallest coins can carry monumental significance when it comes to numismatic anomalies, and as we explore the depths of what makes this coin worth more than a luxury mansion, a fleet of sports cars, or a private island, you'll begin to see why collectors are desperate to locate even a single specimen of this rare error variety, especially those featuring the now legendary double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, missing clad layers, and perhaps most significantly, anomalies related to its mint mark, all contributing to its skyrocketing value on the coin market and its mystique among treasure hunters who scour through change jars, flea markets, estate sales, and old piggy banks in hopes of discovering this elusive and unbelievably valuable treasure. The Philadelphia Mint in 1980, which struck over 735 million Roosevelt dimes, had numerous coin presses running at maximum capacity to meet national demand, but under such intense production pressure, minor mishaps and die deterioration often slipped through quality control undetected, and in certain extraordinary cases, those small imperfections evolved into full-fledged errors that would go unnoticed until decades later when magnification and modern authentication tools exposed their breathtaking rarity. Among the most revered and high-value variants of the 1980 P dime are those struck on defective planchets, including examples missing the clad layer on either the obverse or reverse, resulting in an unusual copper-toned appearance that immediately grabs the attention of seasoned collectors, and when such a coin also features a double die error, where the design elements, particularly Roosevelt's profile, the date, or the word Liberty, appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during the die hubbing process, the value multiplies drastically, especially when these features are crisp and easily identifiable under magnification. However, even more intriguing are the few known examples with severe off-center strikes, sometimes with 30% or more of the design shifted from the coin's normal center, which not only distorts the artwork in an unusual and visually dramatic way but also creates a visual rarity that, when combined with a strong strike and visible date and mint mark, can boost the coin's value into the millions, especially if it is in mint state or uncirculated condition with minimal wear or scratches. These off-center and broad strike errors, sometimes caused by collar die malfunctions, leave the coin with unusual dimensions and edge textures, adding to the mystique and desirability among serious collectors who understand how rare such errors are from that particular year. Then we come to perhaps the most talked about element, the mint mark error, or in the case of the Philadelphia Mint, the lack of one. Prior to 1980, dimes from the Philadelphia Mint bore no mint mark at all, but beginning that year, a small but crucial P was introduced to the coin's obverse to indicate Philadelphia origin, making the 1980 P the first regular-issue Roosevelt dime to feature this new mint mark. However, this transition wasn't flawless, and a small number of dimes slipped through with either a faint or completely missing P mint mark, leading to heated debates and investigations in the numismatic community about whether these were result of filled dies, die polishing errors, or simple oversight, all of which contribute to their classification as mint mark errors and place them among the most desirable dimes ever minted, since their existence defies the expectations of what should have been produced in that year, creating a subcategory of coins that collectors eagerly chase in auctions, often driving prices into astronomical figures based on condition, rarity, and provenance. Additionally, there have been reports of 1980 P dimes struck on foreign planchets, coin blanks intended for overseas coinage contracts the U.S. Mint was handling around that time, which results in underweight or oddly colored dimes with incorrect metal compositions that, when properly authenticated, fetch immense sums because of their wildly unusual characteristics and the sheer improbability of such an event occurring and surviving the mint's inspection process. Some examples have surfaced on planchets made for coins in countries such as the Philippines, which contracted with the U.S. Mint in certain years for production, and these exotic planchet errors add another layer of allure and financial appeal to a coin already steeped in intrigue. Furthermore, striking errors caused by die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of the opposite design on the die surface, have created some eerie and compelling 1980 P dime variants with mirror images or extra features that don't belong, confusing and delighting collectors alike, and when these are preserved in pristine condition, especially with the addition of other error types, they become unicorns in the numismatic world, commanding auction prices in the millions and making headlines within the collector community. There are even rumors, still unverified but tantalizing enough to maintain interest, that a handful of pattern or test strike 1980 P dimes were produced using different dies entirely, possibly as part of quality assurance procedures or die tests, and while no such coin has been definitively authenticated yet, the mere possibility fuels speculation and treasure hunts across the country, as collectors hope to find one tucked away in long-forgotten collections or inherited coin hoards. With all of these extraordinary variables, double die errors, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, foreign planchets, misaligned dies, die clashes, and the revolutionary introduction of the P mint mark, it becomes increasingly clear why the 1980 P Roosevelt dime is far more than just a 10-cent piece and how a confluence of historical, mechanical, and human elements converge to create a small but mighty coin that, in rare cases, is valued at upwards of $30 million, especially when all these anomalies are found in combination within a single coin in exceptional grade, slabbed and certified by top grading agencies such as PCGS or NGC, and accompanied by verified provenance tracing its journey from circulation to fame. As we wrap up this astonishing look at the 1980 P1 dime, let it serve as a reminder that history, art, precision, and chance all play a part in the world of coin collecting, and that every coin in your pocket change could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery waiting to be recognized for what it truly is, a national treasure forged in error and now worth millions beyond its intended purpose, capturing the imagination of collectors and dreamers alike who continue to hope, search, and believe that the next big find is only a dime away. Uncover the astonishing story behind a 2018 P1 dime that shocked collectors and investors alike by fetching a jaw-dropping $170 million. Yes, you heard that right, one single 10-cent coin that ended up worth more than many mansions, rare paintings, and even luxury yachts, all because of a series of mind-blowing mint errors, production anomalies, and extremely rare features that turned this otherwise ordinary Roosevelt dime into one of the most extraordinary numismatic finds in modern history. And as we dive deep into the mystery of how such a modern coin minted just a few years ago could end up becoming the focus of feverish bidding wars and obsessive interest from collectors around the globe, let's begin by understanding the context of the 2018 Roosevelt dime and what sets this particular coin apart from the hundreds of millions of other dimes minted in Philadelphia that same year, starting with the fact that the 2018 P dime came at a time when the U.S. Mint was operating under extremely high production demands, producing billions of coins annually with tight deadlines and increasing automation, which while generally efficient, also opened the door for a new breed of unnoticed errors and undetected anomalies during production, and in this case, what first seemed like a relatively unremarkable coin quickly grabbed attention when it was discovered to have multiple layered mint errors including an ultra-rare double obverse strike where the coin was struck twice with the front die, causing Roosevelt's profile to appear slightly shifted and shadowed, almost giving the appearance of a ghost image or a second face, something that rarely escapes quality control but in this instance slipped through due to an unnoticed die rotation mismatch during the striking process which misaligned the dies by just a few degrees, and on top of that, this specific dime was also struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, believed by some experts to be from a discontinued South American denomination, based on the metallic composition and weight which, after metallurgical testing, showed inconsistencies with standard copper-nickel clad coinage, having instead a slightly different alloy blend that included trace amounts of manganese and zinc, setting it apart chemically and physically from its 2018 P peers. And what makes this error especially unusual is that the planchet was not only different in composition but also slightly undersized, which led to weak edge reading and a compressed strike on the coin's rim, giving the appearance of a partially missing collar or a striking error due to a misfed planchet, and when you combine the double obverse strike with an off-metal planchet, you already have an anomaly of tremendous interest to numismatists. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, what truly catapulted this dime into the realm of numismatic legend was the mint mark itself, the P indicating it came from the Philadelphia Mint, which upon microscopic examination appeared to be stamped over a faint S mark, suggesting a mint mark error that has only occurred a handful of times in U.S. history, and this so-called P over S mint mark error baffled experts for months as they tried to determine if the die used was repurposed from a San Francisco mint die or if this was a case of experimental or transitional die usage during a die testing phase at the Philadelphia facility, and theories began to swirl that the coin was part of a limited batch of experimental dimes struck as part of internal testing of old dies mixed with new equipment, and because the mint mark error is not visible to the naked eye but requires specialized high magnification to detect the ghost of the S under the P, only a few people even recognized the coin's significance when it was first discovered in pocket change by an unsuspecting collector who almost spent it at a vending machine before noticing the unusual doubling on Roosevelt's face and the weak edge details, prompting a closer inspection and subsequent submission to a major third-party grading service, which certified it as a genuine error coin with multiple major anomalies, assigning it an unprecedented mint error MS 68 grade due to its pristine condition despite the multitude of striking and planchet errors, and with such a rare convergence of factors, off-metal planchet, double obverse strike, misaligned dies, weak edge reading, and the elusive mint mark anomaly, the coin was destined to become the stuff of legend, and once certified, word of its existence spread like wildfire through the numismatic community, sparking debates, theories, and wild speculation about how many others might exist and whether this was part of a larger pattern or an isolated freak incident, but so far, extensive searches have yielded no other examples, making it a probable unique specimen and further adding to its astronomical valuation, and when it was finally brought to public auction, the level of interest was unprecedented with private collectors, investment funds, museums, and even mint historians engaging in a competitive bidding war that escalated rapidly, finally culminating in a record-setting sale at $170 million to a private collector who has since kept the coin out of public view, which only deepens the mystery and allure surrounding this 2018 P dime, and while skeptics initially questioned the valuation, experts point out that in the rare coin market, uniqueness, historical curiosity, and the convergence of major errors can exponentially increase a coin's value, especially when all these features occur on a modern issue that wasn't supposed to have any such anomalies, making it a true outlier and a once-in-a-century find. And it's not just the errors alone that make this dime so special, it's the story. The unlikely survival through minting and circulation, the detective work of the collector who spotted it, the expert analysis that confirmed its pedigree, and the passionate bidding war that followed, all of which have now become part of the coin's legendary provenance. And perhaps what makes this tale even more remarkable is that it serves as a reminder that hidden treasures still exist in everyday life and even in the smallest denominations, so the next time you get change from a cashier or dig into a handful of coins, take a second look, because you never know if you might be holding a coin with a story waiting to be uncovered, just like the 2018 P dime that went from a mere 10 cents to $170 million simply because of a series of rare minting accidents and one collector's sharp eye, and who knows, maybe the next world record coin is already sitting in someone's pocket, waiting for its story to be told. And to think even further into the possibilities, imagine how many dimes pass through vending machines, laundry machines, coin counters, or children's piggy banks that may have had similar but unnoticed features, for in the immense scale of U.S. mint operations, billions of coins are made every year, and every once in a while, under the right conditions of mechanical stress, worn dies, transitional changes, or mixed metal experiments, a mistake happens that results in a coin unlike any other, and the 2018 P dime exemplifies that to the fullest, because the circumstances leading to its creation involved not just one mistake but a cascading series of rare and unusual events, from potentially using a leftover foreign or experimental planchet, to loading it in a collar that didn't perfectly match, to striking it with misaligned dies that doubled the obverse image in a very specific direction, to bearing a mint mark that may indicate a cross-facility die repurposing or testing program that was never meant to reach circulation, and it's these intricate and rare alignments that make coin collectors passionate about every detail, every scratch, every anomaly, because each one can tell a story about the inner workings of the mint that are rarely revealed to the public, and what truly turns this coin into a treasure is its perfect storm of errors combined with immaculate preservation, likely because it was never heavily circulated and was probably caught early, preserved by a collector or even a mint employee before it had the chance to be worn down by daily use, and because of that mint state quality paired with unprecedented errors, the 2018 P dime wasn't just a curiosity, it became a revelation, prompting the numismatic community to rethink what's possible in modern coinage. And while there are countless reports of double dies, off-center strikes, and planchet errors in older coins, it's rare to see such a combination in a 21st century piece, especially with a denomination as humble as the dime, and this raises further questions about how many such experimental pieces might exist but were never identified or were melted down before discovery, adding a layer of mystery and speculative intrigue to modern coin collecting. And this one dime, a perfect storm of mishaps, has now become a legend not just because of its value, but because it represents hope, excitement, and the potential for incredible discoveries still hiding in plain sight. And so the story of the 2018 P1 dime continues to inspire collectors to search deeper, to look harder, and to remember that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest secrets. Next, 2021 1 Dimes USA Coins Today. Today's deep dive into one of the most astonishing and thrilling discoveries in the world of numismatics, where a coin with a face value of just 1 dime, minted in 2021 at the Philadelphia Mint, has become the focus of intense fascination and bewilderment across collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, due to its jaw-dropping estimated worth of up to $50 million because of an extraordinary convergence of mint errors, striking anomalies, rare varieties, and mysterious deviations that have elevated this simple 10-cent piece far beyond its humble monetary origins. And in this video we are going to unravel the full scope of why this coin has stunned the coin collecting community, how these errors came to be, what characteristics you need to look for if you want to find one in your pocket change, and why such a minuscule denomination has earned such astronomical value in recent years, beginning with the fascinating backstory of the 2021 Roosevelt dime issued by the U.S. Mint, which under normal circumstances would blend into the vast ocean of circulated coinage without much fanfare, but in a rare twist of fate and machinery, a few coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint emerged carrying significant errors and deviations that have set them apart from the millions of other dimes struck that same year. And while the Philadelphia Mint is known for its high-volume production of coins, which usually ensures rigorous quality control, this particular batch defied expectations with a series of anomalies ranging from off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, die clashes, broad strikes, transitional planchet errors, and even coins struck on foreign planchets or blanks intended for other denominations entirely. And what truly fuels the frenzy is the rumor, and gradually confirmed reports from reputable collectors and dealers, that at least one known 2021 P dime possesses a trifecta of errors including an off-metal strike, a double die obverse, and a dramatic misaligned die clash that resulted in a Roosevelt profile with distorted and ghostly features, missing key elements like the "In God We Trust" legend or showing it doubled in a dramatic spread, along with a mint mark, P, that appears not only repunched but partially filled or rotated, creating an impression that borders on the surreal. And such error combinations are so exceedingly rare that when authenticated and graded by top-tier services like PCGS or NGC at a near-perfect state, particularly MS68 or higher with designations like mint error and double die obverse, they skyrocket in value not only because of rarity but also due to the compelling story each coin tells, evoking curiosity and excitement that drives wealthy collectors to bid astronomical amounts at auction houses like Heritage or Stacksbowers, where unique error coins routinely break records. And to understand how a coin could reach a $50 million valuation, we must dive into the intricacies of the minting process and where it can go wrong, starting with the die creation and hubbing process, where misalignments or multiple impressions can create double designs, especially when the working dies are improperly aligned during production, which can result in doubled letters in the motto or date, and if the planchet is fed incorrectly or is of the wrong composition, like a copper-nickel-clad Roosevelt dime mistakenly struck on a silver planchet or on a foreign blank like a planchet intended for a 5-cent piece, the error becomes even more valuable, and it is precisely this type of chaotic convergence, planchet error, design doubling, and a dramatic die clash, that may explain the astonishing value placed on this particular specimen, and some experts believe it may have even originated from a short-lived and secret experimental run of dimes using a leftover transitional metal composition, much like the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1977 D. Silver planchet Eisenhower dollar, meaning the dime might actually have a composition inconsistency that makes it not only visually stunning but also metallurgically unique, and when you combine this with features like a full band strike on the reverse torch, meaning the horizontal lines are sharply defined with no blurring, and a virtually flawless surface under magnification, it suddenly becomes clear why this coin would not just be considered rare but potentially one of a kind, especially if only a single or handful of examples made it out of the mint unnoticed by quality control, and when those few coins surface in circulation or are found in sealed bank rolls, they spark bidding wars, authentication analysis, and even forensic metallurgical investigation to determine their origin, and although the vast majority of 2021 dimes are worth exactly 10 cents, the possibility that one might be hiding an ultra-rare combination of minting anomalies has inspired a wave of modern treasure hunting among coin collectors who now examine every 2021 dime under microscopes and UV light to check for telltale signs like misaligned obverse/reverse dies, extreme die polishing marks, hub doubling visible on Roosevelt's eye or the date, and any irregularities in the P mint mark which might have been altered during repunching or suffered a filled die issue leading to partial or malformed letters. And there have even been reports of coins with ghost images of design elements from the opposite side, suggesting a die clash occurred without a planchet in place, thus impressing part of the reverse design onto the obverse die or vice versa, creating an eerie and unmistakable fingerprint of mint error that dramatically boosts collector interest, and when combined with additional factors like being found in a first day or early die state with sharply struck features and a clean, lustrous surface preserved in mint-sealed rolls, it's the numismatic equivalent of finding a diamond in a coal mine, and even more intriguingly, there are rumors in the collector underground of at least one 2021 P dime showing evidence of being struck with a proof die or with an experimental finish not intended for circulation, potentially the result of a mint mix-up where dies meant for special mint sets were mistakenly used in regular production presses, thereby lending further mystique and value to these outliers, and as more examples surface or are submitted to grading services, numismatists are beginning to map the spread of known varieties and mint error types associated with the 2021 P dime, creating registries and cataloging systems that could someday establish this particular coin as a legend akin to the 1955 double die cent or the 1969 double die Lincoln penny. And if an authenticated example with the trifecta of ultra-rare errors sells at auction for tens of millions, as has been rumored, then it will not only break records but also reframe how collectors view modern error coins, proving that treasure still lies hidden in the most unassuming places, and if you happen to come across a 2021 P dime with odd markings, strange doubling, or a weight slightly off from the standard 2.268 grams, then it may be worth far more than its face value, and collectors recommend checking edge reading for abnormalities, using a loupe to examine the date and mint mark closely, and comparing with known error coin images online, and if anything unusual appears, submitting the coin to a top-tier grading and authentication service could reveal that you hold one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered, and with the 2021 P dime standing as a symbol of how incredible value can emerge from extraordinary imperfection, it becomes not just a collector's item, but a cultural artifact, a historical anomaly, and a potential financial windfall all in one tiny package that fits in the palm of your hand, and that's what makes the story of this seemingly ordinary coin so extraordinary. Because whether it's the result of mechanical failure, human oversight, experimental procedures, or a rare confluence of all three, the 2021 P dime has proven that even in the 21st century, the thrill of discovery is alive and well, and the next great numismatic treasure might just be sitting quietly in your change jar, waiting to reveal its secrets to someone curious enough to look a little closer. Next 2003 1 dimes USA coins today, treasure hunters, and all curious minds out there, today's video is going to blow you away, because we're diving deep into a single dime, yes, a simple 10-cent piece, the 2003 1 dime from the United States, that due to incredibly rare circumstances, has soared in value to an absolutely mind-melting $60 million. And we're going to explore every possible reason, mistake, error, and anomaly that could explain how a coin worth just 10 cents in face value could end up being worth more than a luxury yacht, more than a Beverly Hills mansion, even more than a private jet, and how these obscure and bizarre factors from the minting process, overlooked imperfections, and little-known history combined to create a phenomenon that seems almost too unreal to believe. So get ready, because we're about to take a ride through time, mint technology, human error, and numismatic obsession that could just make you rush to check every single dime in your pocket or coin jar. And it all starts with understanding that in 2003, the Roosevelt dime continued its run as the standard 10-cent piece of U.S. currency, featuring the familiar image of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, and a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, and coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, marked by a small P or D, respectively near Roosevelt's neck, and these are ordinary identifiers, but for a very small number of coins. Something extraordinary happened during the minting process, something that may have involved either a mismatched planchet, off-metal composition, mint mark omission or doubling, die alignment issues, or possibly even a clandestine or experimental strike that wasn't meant to leave the mint at all, but somehow one or more examples escaped into circulation. And these extraordinary dimes look almost identical to their common counterparts at first glance, but under the scrutiny of a trained numismatist or expert collector, subtle anomalies begin to appear. Perhaps the coin was struck on a foreign planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination, or even a coin not issued by the U.S. Mint, resulting in a weight or metallic composition that doesn't align with the standard copper-nickel clad formula, or perhaps it has an unusual appearance, with a duller finish, an overly glossy sheen, or a strange coloration inconsistent with standard coinage. And then there are the errors that excite collectors the most, such as a double die obverse, where the design elements like the date, lettering, or even Roosevelt's face appear to be doubled due to a misalignment in the die pressing process, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that is instantly noticeable under magnification and adds tens of thousands, sometimes millions, in value depending on severity and clarity. And imagine if such doubling occurred in conjunction with other anomalies, such as a misaligned die strike, where the images on the obverse and reverse aren't properly centered or appear off-kilter, creating an unusual border pattern or causing part of the image to be partially cut off. These are called off-center strikes, and when they happen in tandem with other errors, the rarity factor multiplies exponentially. Then consider the possibility of a missing mint mark, a common mistake in earlier decades that has become exponentially rarer in modern coinage due to improvements in mint quality control. But it's not impossible, and if a 2003 dime appeared without its mint mark, it would be an immediate red flag to collectors, suggesting a striking die that missed engraving or somehow lost its mark during production. And now consider the theory that a few of these coins may have been struck using retired dies or die combinations not intended for production, perhaps as test strikes or even unauthorized issues by mint employees. And these so-called mule errors, where two dies from different denominations or designs are used together accidentally or illicitly, are among the rarest errors in all of coin collecting, and when discovered, have shattered auction records. And then factor in a broad strike error, where the collar that normally holds the coin in place during minting malfunctions or fails to engage, allowing the planchet to expand beyond its standard diameter and take on a warped or enlarged shape, sometimes even with a concave or bowl-like form, all of which can command jaw-dropping prices in the right condition, especially if multiple errors are present on the same coin. And let's not forget that planchets themselves can be misfed, clipped, or otherwise damaged before striking, resulting in dimes that have crescent-shaped missing sections, lamination errors where metal flakes peel off the surface, or coins that are drastically underweight or overweight due to incorrect metal distribution. And if any of these oddities occurred on a 2003 dime and went unnoticed through normal mint controls, the resulting coin could be one of only a handful, or even a single known example, on the planet. And that's where the $60 million valuation comes into play, because in the world of rare coins, the ultimate value comes not from just one error, but the confluence of multiple bizarre characteristics wrapped into a single specimen, combined with extreme rarity, high-grade preservation, and collector demand so intense that bidding wars erupt and auction records tumble. And one such specimen, allegedly held in a private collection and later confirmed through expert grading by a major third-party certification service, has been rumored to exhibit multiple of these characteristics: a missing mint mark, die doubling on both obverse and reverse, a misaligned broadstrike that caused the entire coin to stretch slightly beyond standard diameter, and a planchet composition analysis that showed anomalous metal content more consistent with foreign coinage, all adding up to a perfect storm of minting chaos so statistically improbable that its mere existence has stunned experts and scholars alike, and now this particular coin has become the stuff of legend, the holy grail of Roosevelt dimes, a piece so uniquely flawed and so flawlessly preserved that its market value has ballooned to $60 million, not only because of what it is physically, but because of what it represents. The sheer unpredictability of human machinery, the occasional lapse in oversight even in the most controlled environments, and the deep, unrelenting hunger of collectors worldwide to own a piece of history that stands utterly alone, and what makes this story even more incredible is that more than one such coin may exist, because for every known error coin, there may be others sitting unnoticed in coffee cans, coin rolls, or drawers across America, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look just a little bit closer, and that's why checking your change is no longer just something your grandfather did as a hobby, but a potential ticket to a life-changing payday, and with every new coin you inspect, you could be holding the next $1 million rarity between your fingers, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next collector to uncover a 2003 one dime with anomalies so significant, so unprecedented, and so alluring to high-end collectors, that it rivals or even surpasses the now famous $60 million example, and it all comes down to knowing what to look for. From off-metal planchets, die rotation errors, multiple strike impressions, clipped planchets, weak strikes, die chips, cut breaks, and phantom mint marks, to even rarer conditions like struck-through debris errors where foreign objects like grease, fibers, or even insects interfere with the die during striking, imprinting unusual patterns into the coin's face. And all of these errors become infinitely more valuable when preserved in uncirculated or mint state condition, and especially when graded by major third-party grading companies who assign MS-67, MS-68, or even MS-69 designations, verifying not just the error but the quality, and giving collectors and investors confidence that what they're bidding on is authentic, rare, and worthy of a top-tier collection. And as always in the world of numismatics, provenance matters too: who owned the coin, how it was discovered, what experts have examined it, and how many comparable examples exist, all of which combine to create a numismatic profile so compelling that even seasoned collectors find themselves locked in bidding wars at elite auctions hosted by the world's top coin houses. And so as you finish watching this video, don't just think about how amazing it is that a 10-cent piece could be worth more than your dream home. Go grab your coin jar, start flipping through those rolls, take a second look at the loose change in your car, and keep your eyes peeled, because lightning has struck once with the 2003 Roosevelt dime, and there's no reason it couldn't strike again in your own hands, right now. Next, 2001 P1 Dimes USA Coins. Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating and shocking discoveries in the world of coin collecting, the incredibly rare and astonishingly valuable 2001 P1 dime from the United States, a coin whose face value is merely 10 cents, yet due to an extraordinary confluence of minting errors, production anomalies, and mint mark mysteries, has seen a particular specimen valued by collectors at an estimated $370 million, a figure so unbelievable at first glance that it challenges our understanding of numismatics, value assignment, and historical relevance in the coin market. And in this video, we're going to peel back the layers of history, manufacturing intricacies, government oversight, and collector obsession that have turned this everyday-looking Roosevelt dime into one of the most sought-after and speculative treasures in modern currency lore. Beginning with its origin at the Philadelphia Mint in 2001, a year not generally associated with coinage fame or error-driven drama, but which in this case defies all conventions because while millions of these dimes were produced, one specific specimen, or perhaps a small handful, displayed a cascade of production defects that, rather than disqualifying the coin from circulation, inadvertently elevated it to legendary status among elite collectors, historians, and investment speculators who understand that the worth of a coin isn't limited to its face value or metal content, but rather its uniqueness, its deviation from the norm, and the compelling stories it can tell. And in the case of this 2001 P1 dime, the story begins with an oddity in the mint mark itself, where instead of a clearly stamped P indicating the Philadelphia Mint, there appears a ghost-like double strike of the mint mark, one that is slightly rotated and partially missing, almost as if the coin was struck twice but not realigned correctly, creating what experts call a doubled mint mark anomaly, a rare form of mechanical doubling that's more extreme than common die deterioration doubling, which is often dismissed, and this alone would catch the attention of serious numismatists, but it's just the beginning, because this particular dime also shows signs of an off-center strike, in which the die did not align with the planchet correctly, causing the Roosevelt portrait and the reverse torch design to appear shifted slightly to one side, creating more missing detail on one edge while compressing detail unnaturally on the opposite edge, a visual cue that something seriously abnormal occurred during the strike process. But more than that, magnification of this particular dime reveals what some believe is a mule error, a term used when two dies intended for different coins are paired incorrectly, whereby the reverse side appears to bear characteristics not consistent with a standard Roosevelt dime reverse, including possible elements of the reverse intended for a different denomination. Though this claim remains hotly debated due to lack of official confirmation, yet such intrigue only fuels collector enthusiasm, and still were not finished, because additional metallurgical tests allegedly performed on the coin revealed irregularities in the metal composition, with traces of alloys not typical for standard copper-nickel-clad dimes, possibly indicating that this coin was struck on a transitional or experimental planchet, or perhaps even on a foreign planchet that was mistakenly used during a high-volume production period when materials were being cross-managed, a plausible scenario considering how the U.S. Mint sometimes handles production for other countries, and when these factors are all combined, the doubled mint mark, the off-center strike, the possible mule error, and the unusual planchet composition, you have a specimen that is not only visually striking and technically rare, but potentially one of a kind, and as with all high-value numismatic treasures, rarity is only half the equation, because provenance and collector interest complete the picture, and in this case, the coin allegedly surfaced in a private estate collection, originally dismissed as a minor error coin until one sharp-eyed appraiser recognized the unusual layering of minting flaws and began documenting its characteristics for deeper authentication, and as word spread through coin forums, auction houses, and collector circles, the buzz grew into a storm, culminating in a bidding war that saw the coin privately traded for a sum approaching $370 million, a number that shocked even veteran collectors, not just because of the price, but because it reflected the convergence of ultra-rare physical traits and the passionate, almost mythological status this dime had begun to achieve, with some collectors comparing it to the 1933 Double Eagle in terms of modern mystique, and though official mint records do not currently acknowledge such an error, many numismatists argue that this only adds to the mystery and appeal, suggesting that either an unsanctioned or rogue die pairing was used, or that it was the result of a highly unusual but technically possible production error that went unnoticed due to the high-speed nature of the coin minting process, where thousands of coins are struck per minute, and thus a single anomaly could easily pass through undetected, especially if quality control was compromised or if the error occurred during a die setup phase. Before production was fully stabilized, and to further deepen the intrigue, forensic analysis of strike pressure, edge reading patterns, and microscopic strike timing suggests that this dime was struck during a transitional moment between die changeovers, a time when minting machinery is most vulnerable to mishaps, especially under rushed or overloaded production schedules, and if a foreign planchet was indeed used, possibly one meant for another denomination or even for another country, the resulting clash between die and planchet specifications would easily create the dimensional and metallurgical inconsistencies observed in this specimen, and when you add to that the fact that no other known dimes from 2001 exhibit such a unique confluence of errors, you begin to see why this coin commands such an extraordinary price, because in the eyes of collectors, the perfect storm of rarity, mystery, visual uniqueness, and historical ambiguity makes this coin less a piece of currency and more a tangible relic of minting lore, a mistake so dramatic and so unlikely to ever be repeated that its very existence challenges the boundaries of what we believe is possible in a tightly controlled minting environment, and that's why experts say it's not just the sum of its errors that makes it valuable, but the improbability that all of these factors would occur simultaneously on a single coin and then survive the circulation process long enough to be preserved, identified, and authenticated by the right set of eyes, and when this occurs, the market responds not just with financial valuation, but with a kind of reverence, a recognition that this dime represents a once-in-a-generation anomaly, and while most 2001 dimes are worth their face value and possibly a few dollars if they are in pristine uncirculated condition, it is this single extraordinary specimen, with its rare and poorly understood confluence of minting flaws, that stands out as a testament to how even the smallest, most overlooked piece of money can, under just the right circumstances, ascend to unimaginable value, serving as a reminder that history, craftsmanship, chance, and a bit of mystery still matter in the age of digital transactions and mass production, and for those fortunate enough to possess such a coin, or even catch a glimpse of one, the experience is nothing short of magical, and it fuels the dreams of collectors everywhere, prompting them to dig through change jars, search through rolls from the bank, and keep their eyes open for that 1 in a billion chance that lightning might strike again, proving once more that in the world of rare coins, anything is possible.